A few weeks ago, few would have foreseen Mansfield Town winning 4 back-to-back games in different competitions, but alas, a 2-1 win at Stevenage on Saturday makes it 4 from 4, 2 from 2 in the league. Can the Stags continue their winning run as they welcome the league's bottom side Scunthorpe on Saturday? Ryan Sturck's second half goal in front of the travelling faithful sent the Stags fans home happy and with 3 more points in the bag. The on-loan Birmingham midfielder says the Stags can keep climbing the table. Let's hope that the youngster is absolutely spot on. But it's not just Sturck who's made an excellent contribution. There's also a man at the back, at the other end of his career, I'm sure he won't mind me saying, in John Joe O'Toole. Paired with Ollie Hawkins at centre-back for the last 2 games. Is he the missing piece of the jigsaw that's finally been found? We'll talk about that and a lot more in between tonight as we look ahead to a busy few weeks for the Stags, with a home game against Scunthorpe, plus trips to Sutton United and Crawley Town. Not to mention an FA Cup trip to Doncaster Rovers too. Can the Stags keep up their good form? Can they keep on improving and make progress? Let us know your thoughts in the comments as always and have your say on your team. On the show for the fans, by the fans. Why? Because Mansfield always matters. This is the Mansfield Matters podcast. Get involved now. A very good evening and welcome to all the fans, by the fans. This is the Mansfield Matters podcast. Great to have you alongside us as always. My name's Craig Priest and joining me on this journey to talk all things Mansfield Town, we've got Clive Parkin and we've got Nathan Edge. We'll speak to them in just a second. Lots to get through this week, but as you will notice if you're watching the video version of this, the third shirt, the brand new shirt, has arrived at long last. Thank goodness that it has arrived. We've been waiting for it for a long time. And because we've been waiting for it for a long time, as soon as we heard the news that the shirt was available in the club shop, we all headed down, or somebody for us headed down, and picked up our shirts, which is why, with no message between us at all, we've all managed to turn up wearing matching shirts. Hello, boys. How are we doing? Give a nice wave to the camera, everyone.
Good evening.
There we go. As you can see, we've got Nathan Edge in his stag shirt. We've got Clive in his third shirt, and we've got me in mine as well. Have you been to pick yours up? What do you think of them so far? An excellent gesture by the Radfords. It has to be said. To be honest, Clive, the first thing I did once I got it home was to have a look at my name. Have you managed to find yours?
Yes, it's about where my belly button is.
Nathan, obviously you will have a much harder job than the rest of us in finding your name. But, has anybody told you where it is? Has anybody looked for yours yet? To be honest, I've not looked for yours, but I did manage to find Clive's by virtue of the fact I was looking for mine.
Maybe we'll set it as a task for everybody at home. So anyone who's watching live, if you've got one of these, your task throughout the episode, as well as listening to us, is spot my name and let me know where it is. See, if I had my dad's shirt, right, it'd be easy to spot Clive, because obviously my dad's got a big belly, so it's Clive's name will be extra large, won't it? So,
So what you're essentially saying is that the larger the person, the more chance you've got of spotting your own name, even though you can't see for toffee.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
I wouldn't hold any hopes out for a career in the diplomatic corps, Nathan.
That's long gone. We should know that.
No, that's been gone a very, very long time, to be honest, if we're totally honest. There's lots to get through tonight. I've even written down an actual of talking points tonight because it's been one of those weeks where we didn't do the Sunday sermon for one reason or another. We were going to do the show as we usually would on Wednesday night, but we were literally flooded by by hundreds of messages from our adoring fans saying, where were you on Sunday and why weren't you doing the Sunday sermon? Where are you? Well, we are here. We are here to do the show. We've brought it forward 24 hours. And here we are. So we've got a lot to talk about on the agenda tonight. It's almost like a formal meeting. We're going to talk Stevenage. We're going to talk 4 wins from 4 in all competitions. We're going to talk John Joe O'Toole. We're going to talk him and Hawkins as a pair. We'll talk Hewitt at right back. Clough's comments on iFollow in the last couple of hours. Striker shortages. Not to get everybody worried. Under 23s, new shirts, Donny tickets, 22-23 season dates, prediction leagues and golden goals and any otherness. Where do we start, Nathan Edge?
Well, none other than Stevenage, surely. It has to be, doesn't it?
It certainly does. And it was a fine victory as well. And it's one we perhaps, didn't see coming in the first half, Clive, because friend Mr. Reid certainly was trying to get one over on his former club, wasn't he?
Yes, he can consider himself to be doubly unlucky. He had 2 fine efforts saved by the post. You could argue that our keeper had every confidence in the post, and it was well founded because the post did its job. And it's a nice change, isn't it, for us to have a bit of the rub of the green?
Yeah, it certainly is. It does make a difference, Nathan. Were you expecting to see Mr. Reid's name pop up on the goal scorers on Saturday?
Oh, I said it in my prediction, didn't I? Even though obviously it counts for nothing, but it's just one of them. It's like Ollie Palmer. Whenever we play against him, he seems to be up for a goal. Liangol seems to have managed to notch a couple against us since he left us. So those players that never really happened for them with us tend to come and bite us on the backside. And fair play to Reid, he very nearly did. But like Clive said there, it's this so far this season we haven't had much luck, have we? If we're completely honest. So it kind of just goes to show when things are going for you as well. Like we're playing better, getting results, but you also get a bit of luck along the way. And it seems like it's like the law of attraction, isn't it? When things are positive around you, more positive things happen. So
we shouldn't feel guilty about it, though, Nathan, because we also had 2 very worthwhile penalty shouts denied us as well. Yeah. So these things balance out, don't they?
That's not necessarily luck. That's bad decision making. So
another shocking referee.
They're separate things, aren't they? Really. But in regards to the post, that was a blessed post for us on Saturday.
Yeah, it certainly was. Keep your comments coming in. Let us know your thoughts on Saturday's game. Were you there? What did you make of the performance? We'll talk John Joe O'Toole as well. One thing, Clive, from Saturday was, the fact that we did manage to get the victory in the end, that we dug deep. But before we go into that, would you like to make an urgent appeal? Can we have a bag update or a bag date? No, that's wrong. Can we have a bag update and let people know what we're talking about?
Yeah, stupidly, I left the ground at Stevenage and left my shoulder bag under the seat. Didn't realise till we got back to the car. So we come belting back to find it wasn't where I left it. And the stewards didn't know anything about it. So I'm hoping that maybe one of our honest fans picked it up and took it back with them, and it might find its way back into the club somewhere. It doesn't matter if it doesn't. It's down to stupidity on my part. It wasn't an expensive item. But there were 2 packets of crisps in there, and I do miss them.
What flavour were they? That's the key thing.
Ready salted.
No, Nathan, come on. That's not really a crisp to be bothered about, is it?
Taking a bag, is it? To be fair, and also, if anyone is watching that, if you do return it, please return it with empty packets of crisps in there.
If anybody does bring it in, they can have the 2 packets of crisps. They can have the banana that was in there.
The important question, though, Clive, was there any Mansfield Matters merchandise in there? Because that could
is a very good
point. Very
There
valuable.
had been earlier in the day, but we managed to find the worthwhile recipient for the said item before the game started.
That is true. That is
so
true.
there was nothing of value to be lost.
Thank God.
Yes.
Oh,
Anyway,
I mean, could you imagine if you'd have lost a Mansfield Matters mug and the pandemonium that would have caused?
And especially when they're so
Would it-
rare.
No. Oh dear, I don't know what to say. Move back to the game. We'll get some of your coming in a second as well. Keep them flooding in. We want to know your thoughts on Saturday's game, and of course, any other business as well. Unlike a formal meeting, this one will just go off in an absolute tangent. Hopefully, by the end of it, we'll have covered all the points which we wanted to cover. Obviously, one point we have covered already is the shirts. Me, Clive, and Nathan are all John's the new shirts. I can tell you that the shirts are vibrant in colour, so don't use Clive as a model. His is looking a little bit faded tonight. Maybe he's oh no, that's even worse. I don't know what to suggest, Clive. To be honest, I think maybe just don't have his career as a model. Nathan's doing well with his.
Can I just tell you on that score? I have to be very careful not to make myself too attractive, because I've fallen foul of this before. So I do like to have, the essence of imperfection somewhere.
It is a very nice shirt, though. It has to be said. It's very nice fitting, very nice feeling material as well. I do hope the players do play in it. Go on, Nath.
I'll say, just to clarify, do we know if they will? Because I know you called it a third kit earlier, but is it technically, or is it as far as I thought, it was just going to be obviously a gesture of goodwill from the owners? So is it going to be played in? I didn't think it was.
To be honest, I'm not actually 100% sure. As I understood it, it was going to be used as a third shirt, which was a gesture of goodwill from the owners. So maybe we will, because let's have a look at, mind you, actually, no, the away shirt from last season, I suppose when we play Newport, which is pretty much the only clash in colour, maybe Harrogate as well, we can play in that, because we certainly, yeah. So I actually don't know if they will or not. Personally, I would like to see them wear it, Clive, even if it was at a home game and we changed kits for a game. I know we've done it in pre-season. I don't know whether there's any EFL rulings in there or not, but if we can wear it for one game, then I'd like to see that happen. What about yourself?
Yeah, I think so. If that's the plan, if it is genuinely a third kit, and presumably if it is, they wear the blue shorts with it and white socks. But I don't think it is. I think it's just the gesture to the season ticket holders.
I'm not sure it's allowed, to be honest. I remember listening to another pod about sort of the sort of legal side behind rulings and things within football, and I know there's certain rules with your sponsorship and advertising, sort of with amount of letters and words and sizes and things. So I don't know whether it would actually be allowed or not. So we'll have to look at that. We'll have to find out. We'll have to do some digging.
Yeah, maybe that's one for you, Clive. Obviously, you've got good links with the supporters liaison officer at the moment, haven't you? So maybe that's one for you to do a little bit of homework on. What do you think?
I shall ask the question.
On a
personal viewpoint, I actually like white shirts. I think especially for games under floodlights, because I think it's an advantage to be more visible. I also think that clubs that play in all white, the players look bigger. And Mansfield used to play, its first team colours were white at one point, not for very long, but they were white with blue and yellow trim, and I always thought that looked rather smart.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's delve into the comments, because there's a lot of them flooding in, so let's head into a few of these. Jim has kicked us off tonight saying O'Toole is right up there with our best signings, exactly what we needed: experience, quality and right fit. PSP with the shirt. Thanks, Mr. and Mrs. R. Craig says, lovely gesture by the Radfords, fetched ours today. I had one happy boy after school. Yeah, I can absolutely imagine. Mark and Owen both say evening. Robert says, JJ O'Toole has been an asset for the defence, but do you think his rash tackle was needed in the last moments that resulted in an unnecessary free kick? I think we have to almost like we did at Colchester, have to look at giving the ball away higher up on that one. Roger says, for once, Stags had some solid performance. Things are looking better. are they? He also asked where Cam is babysitting. Hollyoaks is on, is it not tonight, Nath?
Yeah, it is. It was Hollyoaks was on, so we all know where he is.
We all know where he is. Pedro says Stirk looks quality. Richard says we can talk about O'Toole all night, but Mr. Bishop again pulled off 2 very good saves. Quality and not praised enough. Jim says, I know anyone's good. However, getting Oates and Johnson injured in cup games in competitions we've no chance of winning when we need the league points. So pressing is a bit frustrating. Great save at the death by Bishop. Yeah, let's talk Nathan Bishop for a second, Clive. He has gone under the radar a little bit. And, I've never really been an advocate of young goalkeepers coming in to be number 1. I've always liked a little bit of experience in there. Aidan Stone changed my mind quite a lot last season when he sort of came in and got a run aside. But Nathan Bishop has been an absolute breath of fresh air, and I do worry he might get a recall in January, and if he gets injured, I've also got a worry there as well. He's a very, very good acquisition for us in the summer, Clive.
Yeah, he's a very good young keeper, no question. But he's doing what he's expected to do. We don't get out of our way to applaud a midfielder who does a brilliant pass. We don't rave on about the defender getting his foot into what was a very dangerous attack from the opposition. The goalkeeper is expected to save shots, and generally speaking, that's their role. I think he's a better keeper than his years would expect him to be. I guess because we've had a couple of seasons of ropey keepers, maybe we see too much in him at the moment. But yeah, you're right. I mean, he is a good keeper. I think Manchester United will be keeping an eye on him. I can't see them taking him back this season, to be honest. I think they've got several in front of him. But I'm glad he's here, absolutely. And he's been worth a point or two already this season.
I think my point on that, Nath, was more the fact that they would have sent him out on loan to try and compete in a side who were maybe going to try and push towards playoffs and push towards getting a promotion on his CV. And obviously, we've not been in the great vein of form this season until the last 4 games or so. But I guess if we can push back up the table towards January, those fears will alleviate. What's your take on it, though? Are you worried about a potential recall, or do you think he'll be ours for the season?
I think if there was a recall, it would be literally just to position him at maybe a higher level in the football pyramid. That's it basically. But I don't think it matters whether we're promotion pushing or not. End of the day, he's getting game time. I think that's one thing they'll want the most. And actually, it's kind of probably better from a goalkeeping perspective to have a lot to do because he's being tested. So in some ways, being in a side that's not achieving that well isn't necessarily a bad thing for a goalkeeper on loan. So no, I think unless they've got a reason to want to put him at a higher level, I think he'll stay, and I hope he does. Because I'm with you. I think if he picked up an injury or whatever, then there is a concern of who's ready to step in. Just on another note, I do slightly disagree with Clive in the sense that doing what he's expected.
Fight.
Yeah, I'll have him. I mean, we praise goal scorers for getting goals or criticize them when they don't get goals. So, whereas because that's a key position, and I'd say as a goalkeeper, even more so as a key position. If you make mistakes, it costs goals, and it essentially will cost you games. So it's actually probably one of the most important positions in the side. I think more so obviously than a midfielder. So if midfielders make mistakes, it doesn't always result in punishment, whereas goalkeepers 9 out of 10 does. So I think he has got a lot of applause throughout the season, especially when we were probably underperforming because he was keeping the scoreline down. But I think that should continue as well, and I agree. I think he's been a massive signing for us.
I think the mark of a good goalkeeper is, sorry to interrupt you, Craig, the mark of a good goalkeeper is somebody that can pull off the save in the last few minutes when he's had precious little to do all the game.
I'll let you off on that. Ryan says it was one of our saviours, to be fair. He's been quality all season. It's clear he's trained with the Premier League. Good to see the full team starting to get together. Robert adds, let's hope he doesn't get a recall, as I don't have much confidence in his. We'd certainly have to recruit anyway. either somebody to back Shelby up or somebody to come and compete to be number one. Pedro says, now we've pretty much back up and running, we should move up quickly. Bishop is ace. Also, a comment from Greg. Aside from the obvious players, Hewitt deserves some credit for improving after a tough start. Me included, and us to be fair, feel Hewitt has been solid recently. Yeah, we were quite critical, Clive, weren't we? As was Nigel Clough with his infamous comments at Bradford game of he must be mates with the winger because he's not tackling all game. Clough slightly referenced that in his press today, but Hewitt, again, it just goes to highlight, doesn't it, Clive, that it takes time for players to bed in it at new clubs and to feel settled and to get ready. And whether that be 6-7 months or 6-7 weeks, it's one of those things which often isn't talked about. And fortunately, Hewitt's come the other side of what was a turbulent start, backed up by some questionable comments. I mean, at one point you were questioning whether he would wear a Mansfield again, weren't you? At one stage,
I was wrong, but I got the impression from the way Clough was talking that was his boat's burnt. But I'm glad he didn't, because actually, if there was a Mansfield Matters Most Improved Player of the Season so far award, he'd be up there for it.
Yeah, this might be at the end of the season, so we'll see what. Look, listen, everybody wins mugs. Maybe we need some new prize. Maybe we need some new prizes. Let's move one across in the line of defenders, Nath, and talk about the title of this podcast. Have we found the right O'Toole for the job? Firstly, nice bit of wordplay by me, yeah.
Not too bad. I'll give you that. So yeah,
Fair
I mean,
play.
Am I delayed? Is this a problem here?
Yes.
That's what's going on.
No, everything's fine. Everything's fine. I've got different headphones on today, so you're really quiet. I've tried to. My camera's not been great, so I've got it on a different computer and that. So you're just a little bit quieter for me, which is why I'm a bit hesitant when you talk. Yeah, that's a little bit better. Yeah,
okay.
Yes.
So
O'Toole, take it away.
O'Toole. No, well, it's one of them, isn't it? When he came in, it was could have gone either way. It seemed like when you go and get a free agent. I mean, we were desperate for it, wasn't we? I think there's a lot of question marks over his discipline. I know it's already been referenced to that, to that rash tackle he did make at the end of the game on Saturday, and it's part of his game. So I probably expect, for me, my advice would be expect a few more of those between now and the end of the season. It's probably going to happen, but most importantly, in regards to sort of he's made, his experience, I think, has been a massive help for us and our sort of defence. But it's 2 goals as well, which it's not to be sniffed at. He said he wanted to get more goals and add that to his game, and he started doing. He's got off to a fantastic start with that. So, what's not to praise? He's come in and settled in very quickly, and he's just going about his business and getting on with it. So, I'm absolutely delighted. And I think, but like you say there, his partnership with Hawkins back there, it'd be interesting to see whether Rawson will go and fit in back there with him as well. So just to throw another spanner into the works. So to see who he's going to partner with. But at the moment, he's a starting place, and at the moment, he's keeping it.
It's an interesting one, Clive, the O'Toole situation, because he can play obviously in midfield as well, and towards the later end of the Stevenage game, forced off through injury, O'Toole sort of dropped into midfield for Maris, and Rawson came off the bench to slot into centre half. But Hawkins and O'Toole, albeit 2 games that they've played together, have formed a relatively stable partnership at the back, just like Hawkins and Rawson were starting to do. But O'Toole himself, we were saying it for not just weeks on this podcast. In fact, we've been saying it as a whole, probably for an entire season, that we need somebody commanding, somebody that can be vocal, somebody that can win and be dominant in both boxes. And literally everything that we want, if we wrote it down on a piece of paper, what we'd expect from a centre half and a defender, John Joe O'Toole undoubtedly ticks every single one of those boxes.
He certainly does. I mean, he's very much in the same vein as James Perch. I mean, he's got maturity and experience in buckets, and I think that shows. And I think the fact that he can play alongside players he's not played with before and do it so well demonstrates that. Whereas you put someone else in that position and they bounce off each other for a while. It's also reassuring to know that we can move him into the midfield, because I think we're overcoming the problem with the centre pairing now. In fact, Clough's going to have an opposite problem. He's going to have to choose 2 from 3, 2 from 4 going forward. And I think that's a better position to be in than what he had before. But it does mean then you've got someone who has started to show his real value to us, not necessarily in that back 4. So having him in midfield, the question then arises, is he better than what we've already got in midfield?
Yeah.
Maris gave him the opportunity, but I like Maris. So I wouldn't want him to become a victim of that situation. I think there's a more worthwhile candidate. But we've spoken for ages about our captain. I think of the quartet in the middle of the park, he's the one that I would be least wanting to keep on the park. Anyway, that's purely a personal opinion. Others are entitled to other opinions, however wrong they are.
I think the other thing about O'Toole is as well, just to dig Nathan out of a grave last week when he was going to throw him off a cliff edge. But this week, I'm going to dig Clive up. No, I know. You wouldn't say that about O'Toole. You'd be petrified.
Oh, well, no, absolutely not. No.
But the O'Toole thing, Nath, I think the only thing for me, as I understand it, he signed a short-term deal until January. There's no questions about his fitness at all. No questions seemingly about his attitude. The conundrum Nigel Clough has is, does he continue to use him as a short-term stopgap, which is, having him in until January and then going out and buying a defender or getting another defender in on loan? Or does he just bite the bullet and sign him up to the end of the season? I think, for me, Nath, it'd be the latter.
Yeah, I mean, remember, we've only seen him for three games.
True.
So there's more time to probably make that judgment. But what we've seen so far, I think most of us would be in agreement that there's no, most of us would say yes to taking him on at least to the end of the season. But there's also the flip side to consider. It may not necessarily be all our decision. It could be down to his personal decision as well, where he wants to be. It could be a geographical thing. It could be, where he wants to be in a league kind of thing. So it might not just be us not wanting to extend that. We don't know. But purely from a Mansfield Town perspective as supporters, to see what he's offered so far, I think most of us would say, yeah, we'd be certainly happy to take him on to the end of the season, because let's also remember January is a tricky window to do business. So to go out there and find a central defender, you're probably going to have to go and pay a fee. And there's no guarantee they're going to hit the ground running like he's done. So, no reason why not at the moment.
Roger in the comments says, just what the doctor orders is O'Toole, gets stuck in. Keep your comments coming in. He asks also, Roger, about Danny Johnson being injured, and this is where things weave into nicely into each other, Clive, here, because judging by Nigel Clough's comments on I Follow Stags, we won't be hearing any of that interview in this, mainly because I haven't had time to add that in. We will hear a little bit of his reaction from Stevenage shortly, but I have been through his interview and made a few notes. Not that I can find the piece of paper that's the right piece of paper where I made said notes. Talking about injuries, we may have a striker crisis. Clough has confirmed today that Rhys Oates is a major doubt for Saturday with a groin injury. George Maris, who also went off, his is less serious of the three, with a knee problem. George Lapsley, perhaps a major doubt for Saturday with a shoulder strain. Danny Johnson out for 3 weeks with a foot injury. And Kellen Gordon, some positive news on that one. They're just monitoring that one, and he may be back in training this week and could be available for a place in the squad on Saturday. But we've gone from one extreme to the other. We've gone from the extreme of having no centre halves, nobody at the back, to potentially having few options up front. And all of our conversations, Clive, about Hawkins staying at the back, he may well have to be, out of necessity, moved back up top.
Well, necessity is the mother of invention, they say, and I think what this might do is push the lever, because he was recruited as a striker. We've missed him up front. There's no question about that. And whilst one, the other two are playing well enough, we can manage without him. And he's done a sterling job in the central defence. If O'Toole can make a worthwhile partnership with Fazza, then I think we've every reason to slide him back into the forward position, especially while we've got this supposed crisis. Oh, by the way, Gale scored last night in the under-23s.
Yes,
I'd like to see him get a chance.
I've not forgotten. It's on my agenda. It's on the meeting agenda. It's odd. Yes, I agree.
I'm sorry to bugger your agenda up.
Yeah, well, you say bloody should be, to be honest. I mean, it's almost like... Well, I know, but guess what? I didn't write it until the intro was playing, so have that. Moving swiftly on. Richard says Oates should have come off 10 minutes before you could see his groin had gone. Hindsight's a wonderful thing in football, and I guess, whilst if he's able to sort of limp through, we could try and nick a goal. But perhaps I haven't mentioned Nath is Ryan Stirk. Obviously, he's another one which has come back from injury. He netted what proved with a winning goal on Saturday, and again proved what of a good sort of acquisition he is.
Yeah, I mean, well, listen, we've got to give a bit of credit here to Nigel Clough, because when we was going through that rough patch, he mentioned quite a few times as being a key player of ours, didn't he? And he got a few sort of reactions from supporters saying, how can he say that about a player when he's barely featured up to that point? But we've got to remember that Clough was seeing him he sees him in training, before the injury. He's seen him from obviously all the scouting videos and so on. So he knows what he's capable of. He knows why they did bring him into the team. It's just, as the supporters didn't have many opportunities to see him prior to his injury. But what we did see was pretty good. He, game by game, the appearances he did put in, we're looking promising. And I think we started, with Stevenage, we started to see a little bit, even more from that. So I think we've got to say, maybe Clough had a point with what he was saying about, another key player being missed in him, because he'd come back in, and put in a fantastic performance, and obviously took his goal incredibly well. So that's another thing we need. If we are going to have an injury crisis, we need those midfielders to come in and step up and get some goals, as well as O'Toole in defence. So that if we can get some more from the likes of from Charsley and the rest, all them in midfield, then it's another bonus. We need it.
Yeah, absolutely. More to come on that. More to come on some of the other items on Craig's hastily put together agenda, much to Clive's annoyance. But first, let's delve into the dressing room. Let's hear it from the Stags boss, the man who masterminded a 2-1 victory on Saturday at Stevenage. Let's hear from Stags boss Nigel Clough, who gave his reaction to I Follow Stags.
They were just the two words I was going to use: hard fought. God, it was all the way through today. I thought we were a good first half, like Sunderland, and should have gone in more than one ahead. So we had 2 or 3 very good situations, and then conceded, from our point of view, a very poor goal. The build-up to it, Nathan Bishop kicking it needlessly, giving the corner away, and then Ollie Hawkins losing Cuthbert. But I thought the reaction after that was very, very good, and little Ryan Stirks popped up with the winner. I think as well, because of the players now we've got to bring on, when we lose 3 players through injury, we're bringing Rawson on, we're bringing Stirk on, we're bringing Sinclair on, who we haven't had that squad available in sort of 5-6 weeks ago. So when you do get pegged back like that and you do lose another 3 players through injury, we've got good enough replacements to come on and get the result. I thought O'Toole was very good. I thought he scored a good goal, second one in the week for us. He's played 2.5 games now. He's won all 3 games. And I thought he was very good today. I thought Elliot Hewitt was steady. Bish made a couple of good saves when he needed to, and Ryan Stirk, when he came on, showed exactly what we've been missing for the last 8 weeks he's been out. Well, they kept a clean sheet last week at Sunderland, and we thought we'd just go with the same 11 today. I don't think we performed at the same level. I thought 2 or 3 of our better players today, sort of George Murray, Stephen McLaughlin, were off it a little bit on the ball. No doubt in the effort of the team, but they weren't their usual composed self with the ball today. It's very important when a centre half, when we do win corners and free kicks and everything, that we have a threat in there. And I think when we're throwing Hawkins in there, we threw the back four in today from our corners. We wanted Hewitt, McLaughlin, Hawkins and O'Toole all in there because we thought it was caused them a problem. And it's a brilliant header at the far post. So yeah, 2 goals and 2 wins really in the 2 main games this week. He's done very well. I think it's testament to the way he's looked after himself as well. I have to mention as well, Alex Revel actually recommended him. We knew about him, but he'd been here for a couple of weeks training. And he sent me a message saying he's been absolutely fantastic in training. If I could take him, I would, but I'm not able to. And that's when we stepped in after that.
That's Stags boss Nigel Clough speaking to I Follow Stags after the Stags 2-1 victory at Stevenage on Saturday. You can hear more from Clough, including this week's press interview, by heading to mansfieldtown.net/ifollow, where you'll also hear from Mr. Elliot Hewitt as well. Reminder that there's many games coming up for the Stags, mainly on the road for the next 3 or so, including a trip to Sutton United on a Tuesday night, and then, of course, a trip to Crawley. If you fancy going to those but are not quite sure how to get there, or want to put your feet up and get a little sleep on the way back for work, don't sleep and drive. Go on the coach with the SSA. Call the SSA travel number on 07967 689 597. That's 07967 689 597. For more details on travel details to Sutton, to Crawley, and of course to Doncaster Rovers in the coming weeks. Nigel Clough there, Clive and Nathan was speaking about a few things, and he mentioned one man in particular we spoke about a little bit earlier in Elliot Hewitt. In today's comments, Clive, Clough has said that he's settled in. He's He's our sort of steady Eddie. He's sort of a 7, 8, 9 performer every week, and he's really making the fullback position his own. And I think we mentioned it a little earlier on, but I think we need to highlight it. Praise where praise is due.
Yeah, he had a shaky start, and that didn't augur well. But he's proved any doubters wrong, I think, and certainly is an easy name to start your team sheet with. And I'm rather pleased the way that out of the difficult situation, our backline's starting to become the most important part of our team again. And from there, we can build. And without Hewitt doing the job he's been doing the last few weeks, we'd have had a real problem.
Yeah, absolutely, completely agree. And I think one thing, it'll be quite hard if Kellen Gordon does sort of come back to maybe shift him from that point. Clough mentioned in the interview that we've just heard a little bit there of the post-match that, we were able to send him forward from corners and things like that. Isn't it good to be able to have, 3 or 4 defenders that you can send up for corners to try and max pieces? Because as proved with O'Toole's goal, that's how the first.
Yeah, and it's something that we've... I think that from previous years we've been quite critical, haven't we? As a team, that we've not really been able to make the most of set pieces, whether it be corners or free kicks. So, and then there's twofold to that. One was sometimes not getting the delivery right, but the other part is when the delivery was right, there wasn't the people in the box to take advantage of it. So, but having the likes of O'Toole and Hewitt and Hawkins and so on to get in there and in amongst it does add a little bit more of a threat to our play. So when we've got games where we're not able to pick teams apart by necessarily our usual play, in open play, they've got the opportunity to try and hurt them from set pieces, which is something that you need to be able to do. So it's a benefit for us, certainly. And that's something that we've got to continue to utilise. A little bit like there, or like Clive said there, a settled back four is making a massive difference, and there's no coincidence that as that's improved, we're starting to pick up. We started by picking up a few draws, last month, and now we're starting to get the wins. So there's no coincidence there.
Let's move on to another item on Craig's hastily put together agenda, and one, Clive, I'm sure you'll be pleased with. You mentioned it a little bit earlier on. James Gale on target for the under-23s the other night against Leeds last night, I believe it was, in the Premier League Cup. A narrow 2-1 defeat, but perhaps the Stags should have got a victory in that one. A strong side too, who took to the field. Many minutes for them.
Yeah, I think they gave a good account of themselves last night against Leeds. I don't know how strong the Leeds team was. Obviously, they've got a slightly different pool of players to us, but I think we were very unlucky not to come away with something. Apparently, we hit the crossbar. I didn't actually see that one. I was trying to do two different things at the same time. So,
did you watch it? Sorry, did you watch it?
Yeah, I went on the stream to watch it. It was quite good, but I was busy, and you know what it's like. You turn your head and you miss something. So.
Yeah,
but,
it was Cooper, wasn't it, that hit the bar?
Yeah,
George
that's
Cooper?
right. Yeah, I thought all in all the Stags played commendably well, and I thought going back to Gale, I thought he had a really decent game. Scoring is a bonus, but I think he had a decent game.
I think it's one of those, Nath, isn't it? You know, we've got a really good young prospect in James Gale, and I think we've got, you know, maybe 4 or 5 good prospects that are in that squad. And I'm not talking about the names which we talk about regularly. I'm talking about names which perhaps go under the radar. And, you know, whilst this competition is great for their development, we perhaps need to look at developing them a little bit more, because, you know, they're good assets for the future, and that's exactly what we need. And if this season has shown us anything, Nath, it's that anything can happen, and they may need to be ready at any time to step in.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we've got the usuals that have been names that have been bounced around, say in this last year or two, the ones that have been given some opportunities. But you'd probably say, you know, your likes of George Cooper, Nathan Kane, and obviously Gale as well, now thrown into that mix. There are other players that are knocking on the door a little bit, and you know, we talk about a potential striker crisis that we've got. I mean, as much of the negative it is, and we need to obviously try not let that affect us too much, but it's also an opportunity for the likes of Gale and Nathan Kane, those two in particular, being, you know, strikers to be called upon, because although they might not necessarily start the game, they're no doubt going to be on the bench. So yeah, and the chances are they may have to come on and try and make an impact. So it's an opportunity for them to see where they're at this level. It's an opportunity for us as supporters to see. For us to also see where they fit in, competing at this level as well. So they need to be ready. But the good thing is, you know, the likes of Gale, that's played last night. He played in the in the Pizza Crust Cup, against Newcastle, and got some good minutes there. Played well. So
£10,000.
Yeah, 10 grand in the pocket. Why not?
Listen, you might sit there and you might think you've got a little nibble, but £10,000 is £10,000. I'd do a lot for £10,000.
I would be out of bed for £10,000.
Well, that just shows the difference between me and you, doesn't it? There you
Worlds
go.
apart, eh?
Worlds apart. No, it's all good fun though, and you know, well done to the kids last night who, put in a decent performance, and despite defeat, Clough was watching again, and I think it's very, very important, for Clough to go and watch the games. And as Richard says in the comments, Clive, Gale was perhaps unlucky not to come on Saturday. And I think if he keeps performing the way he has done in recent weeks, there's no doubt in my mind that at some point he may get the opportunity, especially given the certain potential striker crisis and striker shortage we may have in the coming weeks.
Yeah, notwithstanding the manager having his hand forced through injuries and things, I do think that the manager's had to play safe and put his strongest, most senior players out wherever he can while we've been going through this awful patch. As we start to pick up points and see that, become a little safer in the league, I think he might be a bit more daring with some of these younger players. I hope so, anyway. But it does illustrate another point that, we concentrate all of our conversation, as most fans do, on the first team, but there's a wealth of players all bubbling away under the surface at any club, not just ours. And we need to see some of these players who are coming through the academy start to emerge. Only 1 in 50 might, but we want to see that player come through. As for Gale, the scouting system found him at Long Eaton and brought him over. They saw something in him, so I think that's probably a wise move, because at the moment we're in a transition period. So it's useful to have players coming through, but perhaps aren't quite ready for it, and top them up with a few sideways acquisitions, and obviously have the people who are normally warming the bench to make that team work.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing how they develop, and looking forward to, I think it's January when the final two home games are. The Premier League Cup, for those that don't know, under 23s competition. There are X number of older players that can play in that, including a goalkeeper. I believe it's 3. I might be wrong. It might be 4, but it's a
I thought it was 3, but
competition. Yeah, good standard of competition either way, 3 or 4, one of the two. Good standard of competition, as I say, and you play each other twice in the group stage, home and away, and we've had 1 home game so far. I believe 2 away games now, Wigan and Leeds, and potentially 1 more to go before we get the final 2 home fixtures. So very much looking forward to seeing them. Hopefully they'll be played at the One Call again, Nathan, and we can go along and support the younger ones, like we do sometimes in the FA Youth Cup.
Yeah, absolutely. We said about it. Obviously, there's not reserve league, is there? This season again. So, any opportunities for these players on the fringes and the young players to get some good competitive minutes in the tank. They don't want to be snuffed at. So, and if we can get some, at the One Call or even at the RH, if we can have spectators there, it's great for us, because there are supporters out there that do want to go and watch those games and see who the future Mansfield Town stars may be. So it's all good news, and it goes to show how important that victory was at Salford, to get through into this group stage. Because if we didn't, then there'd been a big miss of missing fixtures there, wouldn't they? So that was a big win. That was.
Absolutely. Final comment before we move on to more wider business from Jim, who says, if Nigel Clough plays Hawkins up top in a 4-2-3-1, then technically we won't have a striker problem at all. But can't help thinking our upturn was key of having Hawkins at centre back. Yeah, I completely agree with that. But we have, if needed, more personnel now at the back, with Forrester, who also played in that game with 23s, and Rawson and Hewitt and Gordon potentially coming back in, and Clark there as well. We've got more options at the minute at the back than we have up top. So an interesting conundrum for Mr. Clough, Clive.
Yeah, that's why he's paid more than you and me to do that job. It's his challenge, and I'm glad I'm not having to do it. I think we've gone from famine to feast and back again. I think we just have to recognise that there's a pool of players there, and he should always have cover, and that's fine in theory. In practice, if you lose one player in a position, you'll lose another one at the same time, and that's exactly what happens. And that's why versatility and utility players are absolutely priceless.
I reckon it's one of those where, because it's obviously been going so well having Hawkins back there, it's you don't want to take him out, but the question mark certainly since Rawson, since O'Toole's come in, and he could have that pairing with Rawson. I bet the question mark's been there that shall I put Hawkins back up there and try these two back there together, but not wanting to upset what is settled back there is always sort of chose not to, and especially because Oates and Danny Johnson, were. Certainly Oates in particular hit a bit of form, etc. So there's no necessarily need to, but I think now that, I think he's now probably going to be pushed to maybe take that risk a little bit, and you can kind of, certainly from our point of view, if it didn't work, you can understand why he would do it now. If worst comes to worst, Rawson and John didn't work back there, you understand why you would take the risk to put Hawkins back up there, wouldn't you? So I think it's a no-lose situation in that sense to put him up there.
Absolutely. Jim says, think a tight defensive sheet is more important than striker shortage. The whole team can contribute goals, absolutely. And Richard says, whereabouts on the new shirt is my name? Honestly, no idea, because I've not looked for it. Get yourself to get to the club shop, pick your shirt up, and have a little hunt for it. It's a nice little game actually to play. Clive's now looking for it, but please don't take your shirt off and look around the
There's
back.
no
Please
braille
do
on it,
not
so
do
I'm
that.
all good.
Richard, can I say that they're giving you a great deal of help here? It's in alphabetical order.
I mean, it is and it isn't. Ish. It is ish. Let's go with ish. There's certainly some which seem out of order, but who knows? Let's move on to other business. More widespread EFL business, Nath. The dates for next season, I know you shouldn't look too far ahead, have been announced. The 2022-23 English Football League season will start earlier on 30th of July next year because of the World Cup. The Championship will run until the 12th of November and resume on the 10th of December. But League One and League Two will continue without a mid-season hiatus. Your thoughts, Nathan Edge?
I mean, it is what it is, isn't it? Yeah, we all know that the World Cup was going to be, sort of in the winter months. A completely different debate on that whole World Cup situation, but that is what it is. And obviously, the top two leagues aren't going to be able to take place during that that tournament. So, our games are going to carry on, but it does make sense for it to all be brought in line. The only downside is that it's kind of another summer which is going to be disrupted. We had last year where we ended up had an extended summer. Championship didn't. Theirs started early. It's a bit messy, isn't it? It's still following on from COVID, the COVID season. So it's something for the players to adapt to. But from our point of view, what it does mean is that it sort of extends our season, doesn't it? So we don't have to try and put them all in together because we're going to carry on through the actual World Cup tournament. So just I'll enjoy watching some of the summer for a change rather than being freezing at matches. It's great.
Yeah, absolutely. Elsewhere, Clive, Doncaster tickets now on sale for the FA Cup game. Very reasonable price as well. Adults just a tenner. Concessions 18 to 24 and 16 over just a fiver. 17 and under just £1. Season ticket holders, Quarry Lane members and SSA members will be allotted Friday the 19th of November to purchase their tickets. Very good prices. 2,500 tickets have been allocated. That should sell out, shouldn't it?
Yeah, I think we'll sell all those fairly easily. I think there'll be a second allocation coming our way. I'd be disappointed if we took less than 3,500 to this game. Obviously, it helped if we can get a couple of nice wins in the meantime.
Yeah, absolutely. Not far to travel either, is it, Nathan? Realistically, a winnable tie too.
Yeah, I mean, well, let's not get carried away. I know we've had 4 wins on the bounce, but and they are struggling in League One, but it is still a side in the a division above us. So we can't go into that game too confident. We need to go in with a similar attitude as we did Sunderland, and be prepared to put ourselves on every player to put themselves on the line, for the cause. But the best thing is, I think, from us as supporters, like you said, it's a nice short trip. So we already took a good follow anyway, but the fact that they've given such good sort of ticket prices should encourage a few more to go. So and hopefully we'll get a replication of the incredible atmosphere that we got at Sunderland. So I'm thoroughly looking forward to it, and let's hope we can top it off with a with a win, because not only will it be a great day out, but it's also that dangling of the carrot of a big third round cup draw. And I know somebody said it earlier in the comments, I can't remember who it was, but they said about risking players in competitions that you're not going to win, referring to sort of Rhys Oates, who picked up the injury at Sunderland. But it does make a big difference to your season. If we can go to get go on a good cup run or get a big side in round 3, say when we played Liverpool, that kickstarted our season in the non-league. You look at what Lincoln did, that got them going. Good cup run and some money in the pot can make a massive difference to a season. So, I mean, we're on board with a checker trade, aren't we? So obviously we're going to be on board with the FA Cup, but it's an opportunity. Yeah, that's and it's a good one for fans to enjoy.
Absolutely. Opportunity knocks, and we'll be talking more about the FA Cup in a week or so's time. First, though, Clive, we've got to move our attentions back to the league, starting with Scunthorpe at home on Saturday. Keith Hill just been appointed manager there, and he'll be looking to turn their form around. it'll be a harder game than what people perceive it to be, won't it?
Yeah, they're fighting for their existence. And Keith Hill's a decent manager, in my opinion. So I don't think they're going to be a walkover. But as I said last time we were on, the way we're playing, we shouldn't fear anybody. And I think, therefore, we should be expecting to come away with 3 points on Saturday.
Yeah, we should. And that brings us nicely to podcast predictions. I have here the list of the current podcast predictions table after last weekend's round of fixtures. And I can confirm, Clive, that you are still top of the tree. You've got 20 points so far this season. 18 points from guessing the results, 6 bonus points in there as well. And you are way out in front at the moment. Steve in second place with a total of 18. I'm in third on 17. Nathan, you are just behind in fourth, also on 17, but by virtue of the fact that I've scored more points in the result stakes than you, I sit a place higher. It's getting tight at the top, isn't it? It's getting tight at the top of the league. But
I'm not
no
worried.
doubt,
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
You will not be happy with not being in the top 3 at the minute, will you? So, with that in mind, let's turn our attentions to the Scunthorpe game on Saturday. And Nathan, I'll get your prediction. I'll get your prediction first, please.
I will go for a 2-0 victory.
Yep.
Good old clean sheet. Nathan Bishop on fire once again. I'm going to go for Ollie Hawkins. I think he's going to be up there. I'm going to go for Harry Charsley because I think he's another player that's gone under the radar a little bit, but he's been very good of late.
Absolutely. Clive, you're top of the table at the moment, so give us your prediction.
Well, I've got the same score, 2-0. And my scorers are O'Toole and Hawkins.
Okay, so now we're going with both centre-backs. People laughed at me the other week when I went with O'Toole. People laughed at me, but he popped up. Weren't laughing. I was buzzed Saturday. I almost got the clean sweep. I got 3 points for guessing the right scoreline and then a bonus point for the scorers. I am going to go for a 3-1 scoreline victory, of course. Flags. I am also going to go for JJOT to pop up with a goal again. I think he's a real set from set pieces. I'm going to go also with. I'm going to go with Nathan. I think Harry Charsley might pop up. I agree with Nathan that he's a player who does go under the radar. And the third goal, I will go with. Do you know what? I'm going to put it out there. I'm going to go Jordan Bowery. I'm going to go Jordan Bowery. I don't know why. He's due one. He is due one. And Reece Oates probably won't play. Danny Johnson definitely won't play. So I think Bowery might get himself some game time. If you guys want to play along, the link is in the description. Nigel says Stags 2-1. Ryan says Stags 2-0. Roger says I reckon a 4-0 goal fest. For these predictions to count and for you to potentially one of these beautiful Mansfield Matters mugs, make sure you click the link in the description and play along with our podcast prediction game and also our golden goal game as well. So if you get the golden goal, head on the nail, you will automatically win a Mansfield Matters mug. If you get closest to the 3 people who are the closest to the golden goal will go into a prize draw to win a mug at the end of the month. So far in the prize draw, they were a minute out on Saturday. Nick, Chris and Steve are in the draw at the end of the month. So get yourself involved with that. It's all free to play. Some excellent Mansfield Matters stuff for you guys to win on there. The link is in the description. Another link to talk about briefly, Clive and Nath, is that of the runners. Tom, David and the Academy Physio as well, who, as your name is just off, it's in the tip of my tongue, but I just can't place it. The 3 runners at the moment doing a fantastic job for prostate cancer. Halfway through their runs at the minute, they're doing 10k a day throughout the month. A fantastic achievement. And we've already donated on the behalf of Mansfield Matters, but if you can give anything, we certainly encourage fans and our viewers and listeners to go out and do that, don't we?
Absolutely. A good cause, good effort.
And of course, they've got themselves a nice Mansfield Matters mug as well, Nate, to have their post-run brewing.
I mean, what more could you need? That's to get you motivated to finish that 10k to get yourself a good brew at the end of it. But massive effort from them. I'm trying to motivate myself to get up and do 5k there in a minute, and I've got as far as the door to the garage where the treadmill is, and I've shut it again. So maybe one day, but yeah, do dig deep and donate if you can.
Absolutely.
We bumped into Martin Shaw before the game at Stevenson.
Stevenson. When did we play Stevenson? Are they a new team to the league?
I'm thinking of your close friend on the media team. Martin Shaw in the car park at Stevenage, and I gave him a mug, and he was so pleased. He'd had a photograph taken and he's posted it on Facebook.
Ah, lovely.
Bring a little joy.
I mean, it's got to be done. I mean, if anyone gets a mug, the rule is you've got to post a selfie, or it doesn't really count, does it? That's the whole.
No, it doesn't.
The whole joy of getting a Mansfield Matters mug is for a Mansfield Matters mug selfie shot.
Yeah, absolutely. So make sure you do go on and tag us in your pictures on Twitter or Facebook. We are at MTFC Matters. Make sure you go along and have a little look at that. We really want to see you guys with your Mansfield Matters mugs. That's almost all we've got time for today. Just for clarity's sake, Nigel in the comments has gone with a goal scorer for Scunthorpe again. Goal scorers for the opposition do not count. They do not get you absolutely anything. All they do is waste your time in typing it. So make sure you check out the link in the description. I, at the start of this show, Clive, gave like a bit of an agenda. I don't know whether I've stuck to it or not. To be honest, I don't really care either. But as with any agenda, there's 3 letters, A, O, B, standing for any other business. Anything that you two want to add before we wrap things up for today?
I'll defer to Quinny Esther.
No, there's nothing for me to add either. Just get yourself down to the one call on Saturday, and let's hope we can make it 5 from 5.
Yeah, something's brewing at the Wonk. Be part of it.
Yeah,
yeah, enjoy it. I mean, we've been through a lot so far this season, and over last season. So let's not get too high, but especially if we keep wanting again, we know how things can change very quickly. But let's just go and get behind. And everyone's done it pretty well so far, so just continue to do so. And we'll look forward. I mean, bring the mug as well, because my brother won't get off my back. So
yes, I'll bring you. Well. I will bring you. I will bring Ricky a mug on.
Thank you very much.
On Saturday. You have got one, haven't you? I didn't know. I gave you one. Yeah, I gave you one. You just wouldn't give him yours. I will sort that out on Saturday. Clive, Nath, thanks very much as always for your contributions, and to you guys at home for getting involved as well. We will hear more from Clive and from Nathan, and maybe even Cam. Who knows what might happen on Sunday? We will be back on Sunday for the Sunday sermon as we look ahead to that trip to Sutton United on Tuesday night. That, though, is all we've got time for on tonight's Mansfield Matters podcast, the show for the fans, by the fans. Why? Because Mansfield always matters. 4 wins from 4 in different competitions. We may potentially have a bit of a striker shortage, but one thing's for sure, if the Stags keep performing the way they have done over the last couple of weeks, the goals will keep coming, the points will keep coming, and we will continue to climb that league table. Get yourself down to the one call if you were a season ticket holder last year and get this fantastic shirt. Support the Stags and fill out the one call and make as much noise as you can on Saturday as the Stags welcome the league's bottom side in Scunthorpe United. But don't let that coerce you into thinking that it's an easy 3 points. It's not. It's another game where the Stags must dig deep and try and get victory. I've been Craig Breach. Joining me, Clive Parkin, Nathan Edge. Cam Felton's probably watching Hollyoaks somewhere as well. Until next time, thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Keep following the Stags. Why? Because Mansfield always matters. Good night. Are you looking for that early Christmas gift? mtfcmatters.co.uk is the place to go to buy a gift for just a tenner. It's a mug, a Mansfield Matters mug. Support the podcast, buy a mug, support the runners, donate via the link in the description. I now call this meeting to a close. Sorry, I didn't have one of those hammer things. Until next time.